Okay. Now, your dad had a Shylock business.
Yes.
And was doing sports betting.
He did a little sports as well, yes.
And he actually taught you how to loan shark.
Yes.
Was that your introduction into crime?
Yeah. I guess you could say that because, first of all, my introduction would have been I would have did anything for my father. So if he needed my backup, that kind of thing, I would always back my father up. I loved him. But when he said to me, I had $1,000, and he says, "Look, Joe," he says, he actually called me Joseph. He says, "What are you doing with that money?" I wanted to buy a car. I was like, I think maybe 18, maybe 17, 18, like that. And he says, I'll make that money make money. I said, okay, how? Then he showed me. And, well, then I was making good money. And I said, oh, I like it. And, that's how I got started, getting customers, stuff like that.
Okay, so loan sharking is essentially a loan at an incredibly high interest rate.
Not always, Vlad.
Not always?
Yeah, it all depends on who, say you and I were friends,
Okay. And
I'm just meeting you now. But I'm just meeting you now, so I'd probably charge you maybe 5-6 points, which is still pretty high.
5-6 points per what?
Well, say I gave you $1,000 and you were just going to pay me interest. 5 points would be $50 a week you got to give me until you got the $1,000 to pay me back.
Right.
If you didn't want to pay me back, then we came up with a schedule like maybe you give me $500 a week or whatever the case may be. So most of the time, if you know somebody, you give them 3 points. Like say, I'm only using $1,000 this way. It's easy for everybody to understand. So you use 3 points. That's only $30 a week on $1,000 you get till the guy gives you the $1,000 back. So you're really being good to him. They might go as low as 1.5 points depending on how close you are with the person and, you don't want to hurt nobody. But if you want to get somebody and you want to lock them in, then you charge them a bad number so that this way now they're into you, what you would say, like, yeah, you're into me now. You know what I mean?
Okay, but just to be clear.
Yes.
You're giving someone a favor by saying 3 points. That's 3 percentage points per week.
Yes.
Which is around 12, 13% per month. Per year, this is about 150%. Okay, this is not a great loan. You're not really doing anyone a favor. If you go to any bank, you can get a loan for what? I mean, even a credit card is like maybe 25% per year. So this is way more expensive.
It's actually 25% a month. They charge you on credit cards, sometimes even 29% a month.
Per month?
Yeah. If you look at the back of the credit cards and people will go, hey, listen, why am I paying so much interest every month? I know because I had a credit card and I said to them, you guys are charging me 29%. Can't you get me down to 10 or I'm going to cancel the card? They get me down to 10. I tried.
I believe it's per year. And I believe it's, cut down, divided by 12 per month. I don't think you're paying 24% per month.
Well, it's a 24% interest now.
Interest per year, though.
You sure it's a year?
Pretty sure.
I won't disagree with you, but I think it was a month.
Yeah, 24% from, if that compounds, you're going to owe thousands of dollars on $100 within about a year or so. So yeah, it has to be per month. It has to be per year, I mean. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. My point is that loan sharking is way, way higher than an actual loan from a bank or some other loan agency or something like that.
It is also a hard money loan.
It's a hard money loan. I understand. I'm not knocking you for it. Get your money. I'm just saying that this is not a good deal. Well, you're not doing anyone any favors for 3%. That's all I'm saying.
You're 100% correct because by the time somebody came to us or like to a guy like me.
They've exhausted all their other choices.
Exactly.
I get it.
And
I understand.
I won't take your house from you depending on how much you borrow.
Mm-hmm.
So at least you get to keep all your stuff and hopefully most of your body parts too if you don't pay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or if you pay.
So what would happen when people didn't pay?
Back in the days when my father showed it to me, we used that fear factor. In other words, they knew I would come and hurt them or whatever. But lo and behold, my friend Frank Salerno, who was connected to Mike Salerno, who was in the Lucchese crime family as well, he told me, he says, you don't hurt anybody anymore. If you borrow $5,000, $10,000, $1,000, make sure they got something double to use it. In other words, I give you $5,000, now you give me something that's worth 10. You missed the first payment, I cash it in, or I sell it, or whatever it is that you gave me.
Collateral.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But realistically, I'll still say you still owe me money, even though this is how it all, Because don't forget too, when you're a wise guy, even though I was not full-fledged member yet, you're supposed to be above all these other people. You're supposed to be above the regular civilian people. And so if you came to me, I mean, I'm doing you a favor. Look, I had a book. How many excuses people would Oh, Joey, I'm sorry. I can't believe it. My wife left me. This left me. I says, okay, but where's my money? You still worked. You got your job, don't you? Oh, my dog ate. I said, okay, where's the dog? Why? I said, well, because I'm going to cut the check out of the dog's stomach. I want my money. So it's like they all came up with all excuses, you know?
Right.
It's funny.
Now, your father killed 4 people?
About 4 people, yes, that I'm pretty aware of. It was I had wound up getting the Freedom of Information Act, and so there was about 4 in there too. A couple of people I know.
Did your dad ever admit any of those murders to you?
Never.
Never.
No, only one. I think it was not the last one, but it was a guy, Alex Ciccone, and I knew he was going to kill him because he came to my house late at night about 2:30 in the morning, woke my grandfather up and stuff like that. And Alex Ciccone, I could not beat him in a fight, nor probably me or my father could. He was one of those guys that was like a big, strappy dude. Plus, he also had legitimate papers that said he was crazy. Yeah, and he actually had pieces of skin taken out from him because he had a fight with another guy who was actually tough, and they started biting each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this guy was, Alex was no joke. And he used to be a bouncer, and he used to pick on all the guys that were big that used to walk through, give him a dirty look and all of this. But I knew my father was going to kill him. My grandfather kept saying, bring him in the house, because we were going to get him in the basement. But he had a guy waiting for him in the car, so we couldn't do that. But I knew shortly after that, then he died, because my father explained exactly what happened to him. And the only person that would really know what happened to him, you had to be there.
Okay, what happened to him?
Well, he got shot, and he still didn't almost like die right away, but he got shot, and he still was kind of like tough about it, but they ran him over a few times too. I think it was in the Yonkers Cemetery they had him. He was drove there by somebody that we knew too.
Now, I assume by you saying all this, your father had passed away?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not putting any murders on anyone right now.
No, I'm not going to.
Okay,
No, yeah,
right.
no.
Just check.
Yeah, I don't even know the guy who drove him there. I don't know if he's alive or not, but I don't recall his name.
Right, because I guess when you were 7, your dad told you that if you ever killed someone, to do it by yourself.
Actually, it was my grandfather who told me.
Your grandfather said that.
Yeah. My grandfather took me, I was like you said, about 7 years old, and he said to me, he says, hey, Joseph, they called me by my middle name, which is Stephen. He says, Joseph Stephen, come here. He says, you ever going to have to kill anybody? You always do it by yourself. So I looked at him. He goes, you don't know why? I said, no, why, Grandpa? He said, because are you going to tell on yourself? And I'm 63 years old, going to be in December. I still never forgot that, because it was really a realization of what, that's like serious stuff. You know what I mean? But it makes sense. Everything in this life is true, whether you want to try to spin it any way you like, but that really is the best way to do things, by yourself.
Now, your grandfather killed a man with a mini sledgehammer?
My great-grandfather did.
Great-grandfather.
Yeah,
Okay.
they used to, back in the days, they used to go to the markets and stuff like that, but I guess my great-grandfather took this guy's spot or whatever. I don't know. He got mad, the guy, and grabbed my great-grandfather, and he had that little sledgehammer. It was one of those small ones like that. He hit him over the head once, but, it killed him. And so he ran away to the cemetery. He slept in the cemetery for 3 days. And it was self-defense. And back then, there was no big court dates, none of this baloney that I got going on now. And so the cops came to my house and said, you can tell him to come back home now. It's okay.
Okay.
And that never happened. It was squashed.
Yeah, the good
That's
old
the
days.
difference. I know,
before cell phones and cameras and the internet and everything.
Yeah. I mean, even witnesses used to say, no, it was just a fair fight type of deal. Listen, if you and I were kids and growing up and we got into a fight, the fight was over and that was it. We either probably become friends later or something or whatever.
Well, at one point, it was required for a mafia guy to actually kill someone to be made.
It is most of the time, yes. There are certain circumstances where people are not killing people to still get made. I believe, I'm not quoting anything. I don't think John Jr. ever killed anybody to be made. I can't swear to that because I don't know. Mm-hmm. Also, there was a guy named Greg De Palma, who was another gangster. His son never killed anybody, from what I understand, to get paid, because supposedly I had heard that his father gave $50,000 to get him straightened out. And unfortunately, it was a bad thing because he wound up killing himself in prison, killing himself.
Well, you yourself, in your late teens, early 20s, were you trying to be made?
I didn't really have anything to do with it back then. I was kind of like even though I was still loaning money a little bit here and there, nothing big like a lot of these other guys did. I was just a guy that was, maybe I was a little wild in my days, not like Gene Barella, like he was a little crazy back in those days, but I would fight anybody if I had to or do anything that I had to do, but I wasn't looking to be a wise guy. I thought that was something that was very hard to do as a young guy, also because I just thought that they had that secret society. You got to remember one thing too, in my age bracket now, back in those days, it was very more alluring, very more secretive, more mysterious. They had a lot more respect back then. People feared them back then. And so I didn't want no part of that life. I started smoking pot when I was 11 years old. I stopped when I was 14. You know what I'm saying? So I was like a pothead. But later on in life, things changed, unfortunately.
Well,
and not for the better.